Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissack and Dana Gentry.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Super excited. We are on a girls' trip
That's right.
Highlands, North Carolina with our dear friend, Dianna Kokoszka.
It's so much fun.
All three of our first time.
First time ever. Love it. I think we could all come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we have exciting news that Dianna has been working on a book, and this is your first book, right?
Well, actually, I'd written some system books for real estate, and then I had written one book that's dedicated to my dad on the DISC principle.
Oh, yeah.
So that was many years ago.
Yeah.
And I only did 32 books and passed them out. So
Gotcha.
it's been a long
So
time.
first
Is what
book
I'm saying.
on like Amazon.
That yeah.
Okay.
It will be there.
On all the places.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, tell us about it.
Well, it's called Becoming More, and you can't get to better until you get to different. So are you willing to be different? You know, when you think about it, how does a butterfly actually emerge, right?
Mhm.
Well, it has to go through that metamorphosis. And how do you become a butterfly? You have to give up being a cocoon, right?
Yeah.
A caterpillar. And when you go through that metamorphosis, it's amazing what can happen to us. Just little changes make such a difference in our lives. And so the book is actually a model. It has many models, yet the biggest model, Becoming More, takes us through incremental changes that allow us to accomplish more. I mean, after all, do you know anybody that has a gap in their life from where they are to where they want to be?
Yeah.
Oh,
Almost
most people live
everybody.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people stay in that gap. They don't ever
Yeah.
look at the gains.
Yeah. Why do you think they stay there?
Comfortable.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
not willing to get out of that comfort zone.
And I think some people are afraid of bigger. We've talked about this
Yes.
before. Like they're afraid of how much of what bigger or more could look like.
Well, I think they see bigger as sacrifice. What do you
Right.
think when you're
Yeah,
teaching people how
I
to
think
explode?
the biggest thing is a lot of people feel like there's this heavy hand holding them down. And no matter what they do, they'll never be able to get out of it. Many of them blame their parents or blame their past circumstances.
Right, we
And
talked about
we were
that.
talking today and talking about the story that's in the book about the two boys that grew up with alcoholic parents. Now, when they were asked, why are you so successful? And the other one was homeless. They both said exactly the same thing. I'm the way I am because my parents were alcoholics.
One was an
Wow.
excuse and the other was fuel.
Exactly, because in the story of our lives, we're all the creator, the champ. We can be the champion as well, but we create our story. We're the character in our story. We crusade for our story, and then we become the champion of our story. The difference is that many people they become the victim of the story.
So true.
Some people become the villain. I mean, they tell stories of overpowering somebody else. And then, of course, there's the hero of the story that talks about their achievements and the struggles they've been through. And the mentor talks about productive and all the things they've been able to accomplish. And then, of course, the coach, and then the mentor actually talks about the wisdom that they've gained, and they share that with others.
So how long has it taken you to write the book?
Well, I feel like it's been all my life because
Yeah.
it started with my brother and sister having brain tumors, and they got me on this kick about learning about the brain and what the brain had to offer.
Yeah.
Because we train our brain how to think. The way that you are thinking right now is exactly the way that you train your brain to think. You can also train it to think differently. And that's what this book does. It brings in how do you train your brain to accomplish the things that you desire to do.
Yep.
And I think the biggest thing that a lot of people find is they think it's too late.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of people
Yeah.
think that. Yeah.
And when we think about being too late, I mean, Tom Brady, for example,
Yeah.
he's a pretty good football player, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's accomplished a lot of things, yet he didn't start football until he was in 9th grade.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
he didn't become first string quarterback until junior in high school. I mean, you think about that. And then he goes on, he's been the 5-time Super Bowl MVP, NFL 3-time MVP.
He's like the one everybody hopes is going to go for him.
Well, but when he was drafted, It was the 199th pick of the 6th round, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's never too late.
Yeah.
Well, and we were just talking about about autobiography, biography that we just watched with Tanya Tucker
Yeah. Documentary.
documentary, and it was so good because I don't know how old she is. I mean, she's probably at least in her 70s.
Yeah, I think she's in her
late
60s,
60s,
yeah.
late 60s. And you could see all her fears and limitations coming out in the documentary about
Mhm.
doing another,
Yeah.
record album or whatever, and it wins all these awards.
Yeah.
But I think the trick there too was not let those limiting beliefs hold you back.
Yeah.
Well, and each chapter, first of all, this model has different bricks. One brick builds upon another brick. And each chapter designated to one of those bricks.
Mm.
It tells us the limiting and the liberating. So we get
Oh, I
to
like
choose
that.
which way we decide to go. And I looked at mindsets. Now, when you Google it, it's like 150 different
Yeah.
mindsets.
Wow.
And I boiled it down and I started calling all these successful people, interviewing folks to find
wrote that
out
in the
what
book?
their mindsets are.
Oh.
And I tell you the mindsets that will limit you and the mindsets that will liberate you. Now, the next chapter, we actually have an assessment you can take. The assessment will tell you the percentage of each of those mindsets that you obtain right now in your brain,
Love that.
because it's unconscious. I mean, it's the subconscious mind
Right.
that is holding your mindset. Your attitude is conscious. You can change your attitude like that,
Mm.
yet your mindset
Yeah.
It's
is
fit-
in the subconscious.
And do you think the mindset starts was it start at an early age?
It does. We're programmed. I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah.
from television, our parents,
Mhm.
our teachers, everyone is programming
Yeah.
us. Whatever we take in, and we think that we're not taking things in, we
Mhm.
take it all in.
Mm.
Now, the one chapter, once you do the assessment, you can go in, and let's say that you want to go from a fixed mindset to a growth,
Mhm.
give you step-by-step things that you can put into your life, implementing them daily, that will switch from a fixed to a growth,
Mm.
from a scarcity to an abundant
Mhm.
mindset, an entitlement to a gratitude. I mean, it's just, it's more of a manual than a book. I
Yeah.
guess that's the
Which is
biggest
what people
thing.
want
Yeah,
so
and-
badly.
I know, I've just been helping her read some, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for this book to come out. On the fixed mindset, do you think that people that have a fixed mindset know they have a fixed mindset? Or they just don't, once they kind of try to figure out what's holding them back, it's that they have a fixed mindset.
No, most people that have a fixed mindset, they just assume that they know everything. that they're-
Oh,
And we
first,
all
the
have a
first.
fixed mindset in some areas of our life,
Mm.
Oh,
right? When we feel very, very confident in what
Mhm.
we're doing,
Mhm.
it can come across as a fixed mindset.
Mhm.
Growth, though, is always asking questions, that curiosity, right? That we want to develop. And the interesting part about this book is that each brick builds upon another.
Mhm.
And it's much like, I call it, the mighty have to start small.
Mhm.
And it came to me when I was actually on a trip with John Maxwell, and we were flying from Brazil back home.
Mm.
Well, Brazil is where the mighty Amazon River
No.
flows, right? And I look down and I see this river from the plane, and I think, oh my goodness, that's our life.
Mm.
What people don't understand is how the Amazon is formed. The Salamis River starts, and it goes about 1,000 miles down through the mountains of Brazil. And it picks up all this sediment and the dirt, and it's really murky and brown in color. And then the Rio Negro is another river that goes about 1,400 miles, only it comes from the lush green parts of Brazil. And it's clear that when they come together, it's almost like you could draw a line right down the rivers.
You can see it.
What you can actually see it for
Wow.
miles.
Wow.
And as it churns and it keeps going, eventually it all mixes together
Mm.
to where it makes the mighty Amazon.
Mm.
And I say in the book, this is how it's going to be with you. You're going to take limiting
Mhm.
thoughts, beliefs, values, emotions. You're going to turn those in to liberating ones, and it's all going to start mixing together to make up a new mindset, a perspective, the
That's a
words
great
that you
analogy.
use. And the chapter I love the most, of course, in physics, right? And studying energy and working in the energy
Mhm.
lab, I have produced 4 energies that I believe give us success.
Mm.
And so I talk about those 4 energies
Okay.
and how you can implement them into your lives to where you'll be much more successful than you currently are. So this book isn't just for someone that they're just struggling, and even though it is, I mean, it'll help them.
Yeah.
It's even for the person that has really achieved a lot, yet they're kind of wanting more.
Yeah.
It's for anybody
Yeah.
that desires to be more, do more, have more, and eventually give more.
And I guess they could kind of take the book and say, especially if they've had success, okay, some of this, yes, I feel like I've managed to grow
Mhm.
into all of this. And then there's places I can see that I need to work.
Yeah.
Oh, we all do. I'm still working. I still
Yeah.
go through the book myself. In fact, when you finish the book, it's almost like you have to go through it again to sure to different place.
Mhm.
You know, the interesting part to me is if we all think about this, if your life was a book, how would it read?
Mhm.
Because every day you're writing a new story
Mhm.
that becomes the book of life.
Mhm.
That book that becomes an autobiography that
Yeah.
you don't even realize.
Yeah.
It's how you're going to be known when your days are over, and the legacy that we all leave.
Mhm.
Are we forming that legacy now? In fact, the book, it says right here, as terrible as this sounds, it says, write your obituary right now.
Yeah.
What do you want people to say at your
Yeah.
funeral? And that's, as you go through the book, what you work towards on liberation.
I love that. You know, I feel like we do those and then we forget about them.
Yeah.
And then years go by and then we might do the exercise again. But I just keep thinking like, what if I'm talking to myself, what if we actually did that and looked at it all,
Yeah.
to just
Yeah.
continue on with it, because it's just such a great exercise.
Well, and a lot of people, it's all about the doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you guys, look, we've all sold a lot of real estate.
Right. Yeah.
How many people ask you, how'd you do it? What
Yeah.
did you do then? Or what did you say?
They want the
And
magic
all
pill.
that is so important.
Yeah.
Yet I can do exactly what you did, Linda, yet without the same mindset, without thinking the same way, without using the same words, with the same energy.
Yeah.
It's not going to come about. So I think when we can absolutely have people realize that when they work on who they're being,
Mhm.
and as they become better, their life becomes better.
So
Yeah.
true.
Love
So
that.
true.
What are you most excited about with the book, and what are you hoping people take away the most?
Oh, it's a great question. I'm most excited because I know it helps people.
Yeah.
The people that have followed this model, because I've been having it go for a year, watching people
Mhm.
and the strides that they've made in their lives and their
Mhm.
businesses. And the great part that I see is it doesn't just change their lives, because when
Yeah.
their life gets
Mhm.
better, their family's lives get better. And when the family gets better, it
Mhm.
is generational. Because see, a lot of people don't realize it's nature and nurture,
Mhm.
right? Nature is the DNA that
Kind of.
Yeah.
what we're
Batteries.
born with,
Yeah.
right? And then the nurturing is all the environment. What environment are we placing ourselves in? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Like, that's why I have you guys as friends, right? I want great friends. And I've got research throughout this book that proves who you hang out with
Yeah.
really does matter. The environment you're in does
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
And when you think about nature and nurture, some people say, well, you can't change your DNA. Oh, yes, you can.
Mhm.
It's called epigenome.
Mhm.
And it literally, through epigenetics, they have proven that your genes change
Wow.
based upon the environment that you're in.
Wow.
And I mean, it's like, which is more important? It's like saying, what's more important in a rectangle, the width or the length?
Mhm.
They're both important.
Mhm.
And the greatest part is
Mhm.
both can be changed.
Mhm.
And anyone that reads this book can help change their own life as well. I suggest you do it as a book club.
Oh, it's a great idea.
Get to people together to see where they are, what grip they're actually working on. in
Love
this
that.
model.
Well, and the nurturing part is kind of diving into this book and learning all the pieces, because that's where the nurture comes in. What do you feed yourself with? What do you learn from the stuff that you read? How do you make changes? Because so much, and I remember this from Fierce, and you guys will see since both of you can teach it, is so much is about a person's perspective.
Right.
So much more than, lots of people have lots of tools in their toolbox, but doesn't mean they use them, or, or they nurture them, or they grow them, or they do whatever.
Well, when I was writing this book, some of the people said, well, Dianna, you have mindset and you speak about perspective.
Mm.
They're one and the same. And I went, no, they're not. Your mindset is like, well, the frame of your glasses,
Mhm.
right? And perspective is the lens
That
that
you
you see through.
Oh, that's.
And so
good.
there's different lenses, prescription,
Mhm.
sunglasses, blue light lenses, all
Mhm.
sorts of them. And there's thousands of frames, right? So
true.
we get to choose. And this book really brings it home with different.
Yeah,
It's a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I bring in Blockbuster
oh,
and
yeah,
Radio Shack and Sears. I mean,
Yeah.
what happened to them?
and now Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah, they
And so-
refuse to be different.
And so many people spend their whole life trying to be the same.
Right,
You know, they're so afraid to be different because even like young teenagers, they're the different doesn't, fare well for them. It
Mhm.
actually could be, makes them be ridiculed. It could
Mhm.
make them be ousted. It could make them not have friends, be lonely. And so they start getting this training of, oh, I don't want to be different. I got to figure out how to be just like everybody else.
Yeah,
So it's a
Social
hard,
media has
Mhm.
become
makes
Yeah.
it worse.
so amazing.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got some research on social media
Mm.
and how that affects our lives. I mean, we hear it all the time
Yeah.
on the radio and that. The thing that I really love though is I brought in a lot of research that nobody has really,
yeah, you
Study
talked about you've been
or-
researching
for years.
years, yeah,
Yeah, for the last couple of years, I've
Wow.
read so many research papers and looked over brain scans and, one guy said, well, do you have a PhD in neuroscience? And I went, no, I don't, I
You
didn't
read
even
enough books
measure.
probably to have
Well,
it.
you know what? And you can learn a lot
Mhm.
about, let's say, a war. You can learn a lot about a war by reading about
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
You learn more by being in that foxhole
Yeah.
under enemy
Right.
fire.
So true.
And that's where I was with my brother and sister and what they went through with their brain tumors, eventually taking their lives, and what we go through in
Mhm.
selling
Yeah.
and I mean, starting with a little red wagon,
Yeah.
putting my kids in it, going door to door.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had those experiences where it's not so great.
yeah,
We worked our way out of it.
right,
Mhm.
It started though with a belief in ourselves, and this book will help give people that
Yeah.
belief as well.
which I think is such great timing because over the last couple of years, I feel like people have kind of gone back to a rut or they're burnt out or they've lost that belief and
Or it's gotten cool to not want more.
yeah,
It's gotten cool to not,
yes,
not,
yes,
strive for more. It's almost like, and I think that's so
Yeah.
sad because
Yeah.
you don't know who you can become until you get out there and try it.
yeah,
And I love what you're saying, because this book isn't really, you don't have to have a lot more unless that's your goal.
yeah,
It ultimately says you can become more,
Of course.
you can do more,
yeah,
you can have more, and then it ends with you can give more.
yeah,
And I think that's the thing. I've had a lot of people call me over the past few months because of some health issues that I've had. And of course, they call and say, what are you doing? And where are you going?
yeah,
And so I tell them,
yeah,
and they go, well, we don't have the money to do that.
yeah,
And then one gal actually ended up saying, Diana, I didn't want more
Mm,
because my life was great.
mm,
And so sometimes we stop because our life is so great, we forget that there are people out there that someday, well, like when my daughter-in-law had cancer
Yeah.
and my son called me and he says, we're doing everything that we can.
mhm,
And, we're about to our wit's end
mhm.
and we need $35,000.
Well, you
because
told
he
me
had
like
spent
that,
so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. And the
Right.
thing is, I think people somehow thinking we're saying to have more is what stops them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When really, and we've said this many times, what you really find out is who you become and all of that striving and achieving is actually the better gift. I mean, yes, you have things and you have more money and you can do more things.
Yeah.
But I think that might actually mentally stop some people and think, well, I'm fine. Why would I want more? And instead of realizing, well, let me just see who I can become. And then whatever value I bring to the world, the money's going to show up. And then maybe there's going to be a place in my life later for an unexpected
yeah,
that I might have to help somebody out or, because I have become more, I do have more.
Well,
I
and
think,
right
I think they
now,
go hand
Yeah.
in hand.
look at the three of us.
Yeah.
We're right here. We're going to be seeing Henry Cloud and John C. Maxwell,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We're going to be learning from them.
And we
Yeah.
had lunch yesterday with John Addison.
we,
Oh,
that
that's
needs
right.
to be a
Oh
whole
my
nother.
God, yes, well,
by the way.
Yeah, he was a coach of
Yeah.
mine, and I just loved when I knew we were coming here and knew that he had
Oh.
a summer home here. I said, let's get together.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing though. A lot of people say, well, you travel down there. No, we're paying big bucks.
Yeah,
Because all that money
Yeah.
is going to go to
Yeah.
help kids
Yeah.
around the world have books
Mhm.
and learn values.
Yes.
Not only learn values, to implement
Yeah.
values, and then to ultimately lead with values.
Mhm.
And these trips that I've been fortunate and blessed enough to go on, you can't go on them unless one, you give money,
Right.
right? And so a lot of people say, well, I want to go on those trips with you. Well, yeah, you can
Yeah.
if you're willing
Yeah.
to give, because
Mhm.
every one of those books costs money
Yeah.
and these kids can't afford it.
Yeah.
And the beautiful
Yeah.
thing, to tie it back to your book, is as these kids learn these values, they are going to automatically become more.
Yeah.
Because without the values,
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of
That's
chance of
right.
becoming more.
No.
Well, I love that
Yeah.
you ended it with the give part, because every time and now that we're here with John Maxwell, I can tie this together. Every time I think like, gosh, this is hard. I'm just good, where
Yeah,
I'm at
yeah,
or whatever. I always think of what John says, which is my favorite thing John has ever said. And I love everything, but he says, just remember, you can't be outrageously generous if you're broke.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
True.
and
You
it's
can't be
true.
poor enough to help the poor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It just
truly.
doesn't
And
You
it,
don't help them by joining them.
No,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
So even if you think, I just love that you're talking about helping them become more, but then also tying it back to the giving part of it, because you just never know.
Well, and to what you said, Dana, I think when it gets hard, instead of thinking, oh, am I okay? Just why don't I just be happy where I'm at, or
Yeah.
whatever, because this sucks right here today,
Yeah.
this leadership thing. But the truth is, we need to look at it as what is God teaching me through this?
Yeah.
That if I can master it and learn it, I'm going to become more.
Totally.
And I think, because we all do it. I mean,
Yeah.
hit a hard spot in the road, think, God, do I even really need to be doing this? But I think if we reframe it and say, you know what, maybe this is part of the life's challenges and of our journey to help us become more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't go very far if you're not willing to give your all,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Yep.
And
So true.
the book itself is about becoming more. I mean, that's the name of the book.
Yeah.
Yet it's about becoming more for your kids. It has a
Mhm.
lot of research about
Oh, yeah.
kids. I mean, there's a lot about how a kid is brought up and the different things. For example,
Wow.
I'll just give you one. If you say to your child, you were so beautiful,
Mhm.
or you were
Oh,
so
yeah.
pretty,
Mhm.
or you were so good at sports, or you are so fabulous at math,
Yeah.
it's like you're putting a fixed mindset on them.
Mm.
When you say to them, you know what, you're so good at sports because of the effort,
Yes,
You
I've
may.
heard that in so many
or
books.
because in
Wow.
math,
Yeah.
that you just got an A on the test.
Mhm.
If you put forward that much more effort on everything in life,
Mm.
you will be a success.
That's a
And
great
so they
point.
tie everything to
To
effort
the effort.
versus to there's only a fixed amount.
Well, I
right?
read somewhere that if you don't do that, like you don't congratulate the effort and talk about the effort, then what you do is in their mind, they think, oh, if I can't be the best, or I can't be smart, or I can't be this or other,
Yeah.
then I can't do it. And because they don't see it as the effort that's got them there.
Yep.
So I've actually heard that it really stops them, and they start not trying things because if they can't be the best at it,
They won't do it.
they won't do it.
Yeah.
The other part is it not only gives them a fixed mindset, it gives them a scarcity mindset.
Mhm.
Because see, once you think there's only so much of anything in the world, whether it be intelligence or
Yeah.
ability, that means
Yeah.
that you have a scarcity attitude. It's like if we had a pie here and you took a piece and you took a piece and I took a piece,
Mhm.
the scarcity people would say, there's only so much more pie left.
Mm.
Whereas all three of us would be saying, hey, there's a baker back there.
Yeah.
He's making more pies for us,
Yeah.
right? Because we know we can always get another pie. Yet, well, when we think about what we're actually doing to our children, that's
Oh.
why you should read the book. if
Yeah,
for
and
nothing
that's great.
else. Or if you lead a team, what
Yeah.
are you doing to your team members?
Yeah.
And when I was heavily recruiting to build a region, one of the things I would say to people is, what would you tell your child to do?
Yeah.
Would you tell them just to stay where you are? That,
Yeah.
life's good enough?
Oh, yeah,
Or would you
don't
say take
dream.
Yeah, or take a chance. What would you tell them?
Yeah.
And I think that helps because so many people would do more for their kids than they would for their own selves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
So
great.
if they don't become more for themselves, become more for your kids, for your family,
Yeah.
for the people that you lead. Because as a leader, I mean, part of it is about personal growth. I even
Mhm.
share a personal growth plan
Mm.
of Mark Cole, who's the
Oh,
CEO of John Maxwell's 7 companies, right?
Love that.
And how his personal growth plan has actually grown through
Wow.
the years. So
Love it.
it's
I
quite
love
fun.
it. It's gonna be a great
I,
book.
I hope
So
it
when's
helps.
it coming out?
Yeah.
Well, you can pre-order on Amazon, starting the end of June, and then
Okay.
it'll come out October 2nd.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's great. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I
Yeah.
know Dana and I'll have it.
Oh,
on our
yes,
list to
for
read
sure. Yes.
That'd be great.
We better get an early release
Advance
copy.
copy, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh,
Awesome.
we should do that. We should have another party and do.
Yeah,
that. Right, have about 100
absolutely.
people there,
Yeah,
and I should give them a vote.
Yeah.
I
That
love it.
would be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be
100 of
great.
our best friends.
There
yeah.
you go. That's it.
So we always ask people this, if someone is listening and they want to know more, how can they find you or know more?
Well, they can actually go to becomingmorebook.com.
Okay.
And the assessment's free. So
Oh,
they can
wow.
go there and
Okay.
get the
Good assessment.
assessment,
Yeah.
take it, and actually learn about what is their subconscious mind? Where is it at in all of these items?
We'll have to take it and then come back on and do
Yeah.
do
Do a
another.
podcast on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
it.
that'd be
Awesome.
great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, Diana, thank you. We're so
Thank
proud of
you
you.
so
Thank you.
much.
You're always
Thanks
so
for
welcome.
having me. I appreciate
Wealth
it.
of knowledge. And remember, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that now. And the greatest compliment you can give Dana and I is a 5-star review. And even better than that, pass it on to somebody that you think would benefit from these conversations. And if you'd like to have if you have a challenge or a question or a guest you'd like for us to interview on the podcast, reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. Diana and Dana, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been a time with you.
Thank you so much.
Now we're gonna go have dinner and then go be with
Okay.
John and
And learn
Dr. Henry Cloud.
for our personal growth.
That's right.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.